Yeah, this first episode of Free Speech. I feel incredibly limber now because we got all that first
Yeah,
conversation out.
yeah. Get the
Um,
jitters out.
it is January 6th, 2023. We're in Chicago, northern side at Off the Ground Studios. Thank you for having us here. Great space to be in. Great vibe. I'm here with my two brothers, Lam Sedechu Nguyen, Jason KiSoo Kim, Rhythm Kids family, Chicago family, hip hop family, and these two have supported me. These two have supported me with a heavy hand and an authentic heart. And I just thank them for wanting to take the time to be here to have this conversation and talk about the real shit. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us, bro.
Thanks for having us.
Um, so going back to the beginning of this all, um, just tell me a little bit about you guys' dance beginnings and background, however much you want to give, and what inspired you to get to this point today.
um, but yeah, I started dancing 20.
Like that.
Yo, this is Lam. Lam Sedechu Nguyen from Rhythm Kid. Um, yeah, I can name a few dance crew that I represent as well back in Vietnam. Natural Crew, Urban Warrior, BJS. But yeah, I've been dancing for 13 years, 13, 14, 15 years, somewhere around that.
Damn.
Um, damn, uh, but yeah, I start off with K-pop. Um, yeah, because back then K-pop, like they influence a lot of USA hip hop
Yeah.
and heavily, and like, I just love that. I love like the ruckus, like look and like the movement and even that the music that they make is what influenced a lot by USA as well.
Mm-hmm.
So and then later on, well, I transitioned, joining a hip hop crew, a breaking crew, and my best friend, they just asked me like, "What you doing? What style you doing?" I'm like, "K-pop."
Right.
I'm like, "K-pop."
What else, bro?
Yeah, I'm like, and bro, like, and my friends like, "Yo, but you're on hip hop crew. You gotta do hip hop dance." I'm like, "What hip hop dance?
Hip
Hip hop
hop is a music.
dance?" Oh, until he showed me the video. I'm like, "Yo, check out this video and stuff." And it's funny because he after he showed me like Chris Brown video and stuff, he showed me. I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is interesting, but I will do my own research and like find something else. And the same friend that sent me a video of Chicago Forward. It's called Forward King back
Yep.
then.
Yep.
Yeah, called
Shout
Forward
out
King.
Charles. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out
All.
Charles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
baby.
But I didn't like that style either. I'm like I think I think I didn't like the music. The music was so fast.
Super fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't sound like hip hop. So I start doing my own research, and I found the very first video, is what just debut Niako Salas versus the Twins.
Yeah.
That's video.
I was
Yeah,
just watching that shit the
yeah.
other day.
It just amazed me like how I never thought the hip hop dance can be battle like that. It's look very different with breaking.
Yeah.
At that time I thought hip hop is breaking, breaking is hip hop, which is makes
Which
sense,
is yeah.
but the hip hop dance, hip hop freestyle is just different. And yeah, I very like Miyako style, so I'm just like researching him, watching Juice debut and a bunch of stuff, and started up the style from there. And then 2015 moved to the U.S. For a battle guest opportunities in Sacramento,
Mm-hmm.
Southwest 16, South Suite 16. That's what they call. And then after the event, fly back Chicago because I have family here, and just decide to stay in here for a little bit, and got to connect with the dancing here. Shout out to Tuja, Vero, Brand One.
Yes.
These three
Yes.
are the first three who like connect me with the freestyle scene over here. They took me around, especially Vero and Brand One. They took me to the club, show me like the club scene over here. That's amazing. Connect me with Chicago Try. Uh, was it So Swift? No, Electric
Not
Funky
yet.
Tear. Not yet So Swift. Uh, but yeah, Electric Funky Tear and a bunch of crew in the scene.
All legendary names.
Yeah. But yeah, and later on, 2-3 years later, I start Rhythm Kit with Johnny and Tatiana. Shout out to you too.
Yeah.
Love you guys. And then yeah, 2 year later, 1-2 year later, I met KiSoo. I have KiSoo in the crew, and Tanya, and yeah, and later on Frank joined the crew, and then we
The
have the
whole
new
family.
gen right now. P Paris, Kian, Erica, yep, and crew. We have 9 people right now. We've been doing, pretty much the same what I've been doing back in Vietnam, where I build a community, giving back to the community, do anything that support the community, helping them to sustain that. One of my dream, helping the community, especially street dancer, to sustain that life with dancing. They can make money, they can do shit with dance,
Yeah.
and still living their life comfortably. But yeah, that pretty much.
Yeah.
Suck.
My journey started when one of my friends would tell me, hey, if you wanted to get girls, you should learn how to dance.
Gotta
And
do
I
a step.
remember one of the girls that I was super attracted to at the time, she was a part of this studio in this company, and she said, hey, we're having classes, like you should come through. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, and I rolled through, and I remember I got blindsided because she was like, oh, this is an audition. What you mean
Not a class.
audition? What you mean audition? So I went through it, and it was the most embarrassing thing that I've ever been through. But I remember that when we had to call this number, and that would tell us whether or not our numbers were called, like to come back and what have you, and didn't get called, and I was so embarrassed. But I remember that that's what really kind of sparked my interest in the choreo scene and choreo world. And I decided I'm going to dedicate myself to train at that studio, learn their style, learn everything. And then I remember I auditioned like 6 months later, and I made it. Prior to that, I guess like kind of how it all started was, my friend, one of my best friends, Artie, he would tell me, he came over one time and said, hey, do you know Chris Brown? I had no idea who he was at the time. I was a youngin. I had no idea. And they were like, oh, it's the next Michael Jackson. And I remember just like being enamored with the way that he danced and he performed and everything. And what led up to afterwards was, I remember he came over and showed me Nam Hyun Jun, and then from there, that started the whole, not only the K-pop side of things, but it started the whole just popping side of my interest there. And then I had, like, I kid you not, 3 moves that I went with. And then I remember that audition, I used all 3 of them, and I had nothing. I had nothing to show for my showcase. And then going into studio training with them, did that until about 6 years ago. And I remember Tujer. Now that you brought up his name, he was in the choreo scene as well. And we took a drive up to a convention in Milwaukee together, me and him. And this is the first time like we had like an hour and a half, 2 hours just to chit chat, get to know each other, break everything down. He was the one driving. I didn't feel like driving. He took me. Cool. And he was just like, you should come over to come to a session. I know these couple cats. We're actually having a battle. You should slide through. And I was like, I have no business being at a battle. No business being at these sessions. And he goes, no, they're welcoming. Like, come through. And I remember that's the battle where I met Lam, Frank, and
Tempo.
Tempo. Yes, shout out Tempo. And Lam and his crew went against 3 of my good friends and absolutely torched them in the first rounds. Shout out Jack, Walter, and Knighton. Bryce.
My boys.
And absolutely wrecked those 3. And I remember I was watching Lam specifically dance, And the way that he went through and performed the hip hop style, I was like, okay, this is where I want to train under. And I went to him, and I just pretty much asked him to, kind of mentor me, teach me, kind of, this is what I want to learn. And he graciously took me, and then I've been with him now for 6 years, and here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, bro.
Was dancing a part of your familiar backgrounds? Like, was dancing with anywhere a part of your family, and did that drive you to did that influence your style now, or was it kind of like nothing before, and then all of a sudden, it's your life?
Um, yeah, dancing wasn't a thing in our family. Even though we love party, and my dad do some goofy dance sometimes, and I love that. I miss him. Uh, but yeah, I think that dance wasn't. I think in our whole family, just me and Viet Phan. Shout out to my cousin
Shout
Viet.
out Viet.
Um, he's the only two dancer in the family. But I think some part of the big influence that I got when I'm very young, like 5, 6, 7. Uh, my parents used to own a coffee shop business, and you know, in the coffee shop in culture in Vietnam is pretty different. We blast the music, and we have TV where playing uh, Michael Jackson and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah, funky music back then.
What coffee shop should do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super
Check
fun.
out Viet 5 and
VF5 pretty American right now.
right.
Yeah, I still love VF5. VF5 the best. Shout out to Anton. But yeah, so every one part of the business that every weekend we have to update new music. So my dad, often took me to a CD shop, DVD shop to buy music, and we bought a lot of like funk music, reggae, and like yeah, a bunch of video and stuff. And something that stood out to me back then is Michael Jackson,
hmm
and I think like he do live show or something, but uh, the part where there's one of his show when he does the dangerous song,
Yeah.
and he dance with the group, and like I love that so much. I'm mimicking that his dance like when I was younger. I still have the footage in my uncle wedding, and I just do something I didn't even what I didn't know what I did back then, but
Yeah.
just do that spin and wrap my
Learning a lot of things.
yeah. But yeah, that in our family, there nobody dance but us, and I think my influence, like early influence, probably Michael Jackson
Yeah.
video and stuff. But yeah,
Word.
Um, yeah, not many performers or anything in my family. I didn't know my aunt was a professional Korean traditional dancers with the drums and everything until way later in my dance career. But my dad was probably the one that really kind of inspired me to start off. He would be the life of the party. He would be the first one and the last one to pick up the karaoke mic. He loved kind of the Frank Sinatra type of music,
Yes.
even though he can't speak a lick of English.
Mm.
But like the Korean side of it, and he would serenade our family members and like walk around the whole party, and so like that's where kind of my inspiration kind of started off with the performance side of things. Um, and then I guess it wasn't really until, like I said, with external, with friends and introducing me to Michael Jackson, Nam Hyun Jun, Chris Brown, and then the girl, luring me into a blind audition,
Right.
right? It wasn't until that where dance really became a really important thing in my life, or at least the start of it, anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I also mirrored kind of the same background in that my family wasn't too dancey. Like we had my mom and I. My mom used to like grab me and slow dance in the living room sometimes, and Michael Jackson was incredibly a heavy influence. We talked about earlier having like a DVD or like a tape of like Michael Jackson performances,
Yeah.
and I had one that had like 5 different performances on it that I would just run back, put it in the little rewind and
Yeah.
run back and put it in the,
Did
you know.
you use the thing?
Yeah, yeah. Mine was low key like a little car. Like I could put the VHS in there and then run it back, and the wheels would turn.
Bougie.
It was
It was
super
like-
fun.
That's
Yeah. And initially I wanted to be an entertainer, whatever that meant. I thought that meant singer or whatever at the time. But then my voice got mad deep after puberty, and I was like, maybe I won't sing.
Well,
And didn't really have a lick of dancing in my body. My mom's the one who taught me how to catch a beat to the Justin Timberlake Justified album, still one of the best albums in the world.
facts.
Um,
Facts.
and yeah, then somewhere in there, I would see people like these two kids at our school dances hitting waves and tuts because that was the step up era. So everybody was kind of doing and low was on the radio and Timbaland was doing his thing, like
Right.
and they were getting women, they were
Oh,
getting
of course.
girls, and I was like, I need that. I don't
Yeah,
have any
yeah.
confidence. I don't have any of this. Michael Jackson got girls, they're getting girls. Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
dancing is the key.
Yeah.
Started learning my little glides and stuff like that, and from there it kind of just transitioned. Like dubstep became super big
Yeah.
after that, and
Yeah.
all of this like glitchy dancing started happening. Jerking was a thing, which is still a habit today. Shuffling after that, and then it didn't really branch into choreo until I got into college. And then from there it kind of stuck into this long stint that I'm in now, of from going from predominantly choreo to now freestyle, and this being like the home that I feel comfortable in. That's brought me to meet people like you and everybody in the Chicago community and Dallas community. So yeah, it's interesting to hear people say like, "Oh, I've been dating since I was 2," and they're like pulling resources from back when they were from their childhood now
Yeah.
to somebody who didn't really dance until he was 18, 19, and almost feeling like you gotta play catch up to the ones who have been doing it their whole life.
Yeah.
But we're all in the same zone anyway. There's no real like competition or lanes or anything. So
Of course not.
tell me about the start of Rhythm Kids. I feel like I'm super late in getting to know you guys, or late in your guys' journey. We're really close now, but Rhythm Kids is already years down the line of being a family, and I just got inserted into it just last year. So what were the beginnings of that, and how did it develop into what it is today?
Go ahead, Father Lam.
Father Lam. I'm gonna check the camera real quick.
Lam Sa.
Hell
But yeah, Rhythm Kids. Yeah, it started off, with 3 friends, and we all, from abroad,
Mm-hmm.
from the country, from the place where hip hop freestyle was, pretty dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, Tatiana from Ukraine.
Shout out Tatiana.
Shout out Tatiana, Johnny from Germany,
Shout out Johnny.
and Lam from.
Shout out Lam.
Yeah, he's sitting right here. Shout out to Lam.
Rhythm Kids.
By the way, y'all,
We got the merch on with the
merch
logo.
on, made by KiSoo.
Made by KiSoo, CLRMND
Super
brand.
fire.
Yes.
Oh shit. Sorry, but guys.
Oh, good.
But technical issue. But he back again. Rhythm Kids. But yeah, Rhythm Kids start off with that 3 friends, and we all love hip hop freestyle. Back in, I think it's not so long ago, few years ago, when we first moved here, there wasn't many hip hop freestyle dancer here. I would say just me, Tatiana, and Johnny's was here. And when we did the style, nobody know what was that. Uh, they just call it freestyle, or when we introduced called hip hop, people still wasn't familiar with that. But we know this is the style because just debut and all other platform they've
Yeah.
been doing that. Um, so we just being us, just do what we do. Start with 3 friends. Didn't intentionally wanted to start up a crew, because for me I think like as a crew it should start with a friendship, like build the relationship, like genuinely. It's not about okay, we are here for something, you know, but like we're here for because we love dancing at first. We want to have fun and we want to build a good friendship. I think that's it when Rhythm Kids start.
Hmm.
And yeah, later on, you know, we had KiSoo join the crew. We had Tanya join the
Shout out
crew.
Tanya,
Shout
Shadow
out
Puppets.
Tanya. And we have, you know, Frank join, and then the new generation, which is just joined the crew last year.
Yeah, last June or so.
Yeah, last
That's
June.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's funny because like we didn't recruit, so you know, like we
for
didn't
so
recruit,
long.
yeah, for so long. Even though, you know, like there's, you know, many different crew come up in Chicago and they recruit like so many people.
Yeah.
But we feel like I think I just want to tune back again, right? Because for me, it's all about friendship, and you know, we believe into the style that we're doing, the hip hop freestyle.
Yeah,
And you know, and I when I see everybody here that do the style that, you know, I'm doing, and you know, we speak the same, you know, language, we dance the same vocabulary, same rhythm, same feeling. I'm just like, you know, this makes sense. Rhythm
yes,
kids makes sense. And again, it's all about rhythm. The kids that love hip hop rhythm, that move to hip hop rhythm.
yes.
Yeah, rhythm kids,
Rhythm
kids,
Kids.
kids,
It's
kids.
very interesting that that ends up being the name of the crew because I'm a study head when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Like I would love to be like a professor of this at some point, or somebody
Right.
like a historian of this
Yeah.
at some point. And
I can definitely see that.
after just
I
pouring
love
into
that.
it would be dope.
If you
And I'll
like
be
nerding
saying
out, you know.
shout out like Castro because I didn't even realize that there were other people that were already in that zone
Yeah.
because Castro is calls himself, or he is called by, or called by other people, a professor of dance, professor of popping. And when you talk to him about popping or dance in general, his knowledge is extensive. Like
Mhm.
it could be curricularized
Mhm.
to in it's lesson based. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Versus a lot of people who we learn from nowadays are kind of just giving you personal experience, which
Sure.
isn't bad, but there is a objective
Yeah.
line between all of this knowledge, and it's up to us to actually sit down and hone in on what that objective line is, so that we're not giving people binary advice or
Mm.
binary
I agree.
information.
I
We're
love
actually
that.
giving them something that they can take, and then when they pass it on, it's also just as universal as when they got it. But diving into like hip hop as a style, as a culture, I'm realizing, at least in the dance form of it, it's not so much about the moves. No dance style really is. Every style is more about which, like, it's set pattern of rhythms. Um, in hip hop specifically, there's the different like regional dialects, and hip hop freestyle that we do now, or the thing that we consider to be the technique, is the New York dialect. But there's also turfing in the Bay. There's juking in Memphis. There's Dallas, Daytown boogie in Dallas. There's yeeking in Atlanta, and they're all dance to hip hop music, and they're all using the same techniques. But the cadence and the pattern at which these are performed is drastically different.
I agree.
Mhm.
And it's cool that we can still stay within the bubble of a style, but also explore the different ways it can be interpreted, and it makes me feel something different. Just at the session last night, Kian put on some like ASAP Rocky, and then put on a little bit of juking music after we were done dancing to like Dilla beats and experimental like hip hop beats. And I'm like, man, this is all hip hop, but why do I feel like headbanging? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just dope to be in a crew called Rhythm Kids, because I didn't even know that that's where I gravitated to in all of this until I was around the people who also enjoy that same thing. So I'm just happy to be a part of this family around people who um, love this as much as I do. So
Yeah. I think
Super cool.
I feel like before we, but or at least for me, my Spotify playlist was just all commercial music.
mhm.
Realistically, prior to I started taking this side of dance very seriously, um, uh, there's a clear difference between commercial music and obviously like, um, I guess the music that we dance to is really different, right?
Yeah,
Especially like at sessions and battles is completely different types of feel. Um, and I felt like it was once I started training with Lam is when my music, everything really changed.
Yeah.
Because he started to play that type of music that would be played at sessions and battles. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this. I still have the chat when we were talking about Rhythm Kids. We were trying to think of like, what does it look like? What is the theme? What is the definition? What is the logo? Right? And we had this like this crazy complex logo that we thought of where it was like your fingerprint, remember? But it was musical notes in the fingerprint.
Ooh.
But then we kind of thought about it and conceptualized it. And when you put it on a shirt, it's way too busy.
It's a lot.
Way
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah.
This logo didn't come until what, a year ago? 2
Yeah.
years ago?
Not too long ago. Yeah.
And we really ours was just text, remember, for the longest time. But anyway, so long story short, it was my music changed, and I like the fact that it's Rhythm Kids because we just continue to discover
Whatever that
discovering
was.
newer types of music, newer types of things. But at the end of the day, we're able to find kind of the consistencies within our music so that we're all on the same page when we're listening to certain things.
Yes, most definitely. And last thing on this, but I just love that it's kids because this is where that's where the art form comes from.
Yeah.
This is where it's birthed. Like whenever I'm doing this dance style, it makes me feel like a kid.
Yeah.
Anything that makes me feel and connect back to myself makes me feel like a kid. And
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think that's where we need to be sourcing our inspiration from, sourcing our energy from. And it's nice to words have power, so it's nice to see that in the name. And anytime we shout this out, it reminds people that like what energy we're coming from.
Yeah.
If you saw my shift gaze, the love of my life just walked in the room. So
That's
that's just what that is.
Ah.
Sada.
Love of my life.
Love of my life. Next thing I kind of want to get into is we have a Juicy de Boo veteran here. It's really rare that we get to actually talk to somebody who's danced and competed on that caliber of competition. Can you talk a little bit about that process and before, and then what is the day after a competition like that feel like? Like what's the feeling in your stomach after that?
You mean like after the Just Debut Singapore or the one in Paris?
Well, so you won Singapore, and then in Paris, competed top 16. Obviously, the one in Paris is the bigger event, but either one is of massive caliber. So you could talk probably about a little bit of both of them and what you felt at both those times.
Yeah, yeah. I think Just Debut is an event.
Is
The
that camera
first
still recording?
video, like I said, the first video I saw, about hip hop freestyle is Miyako Salas versus Twins, and the battle is what Just Debut. So Just Debut being something that I very want to be competing on. So and yeah, and I'm gonna train for that. I don't know when it's gonna come to like South Asia, because we never have something like that happen. And the
Not
time
yet.
has come. Yeah, not
Not
yet.
yet.
And the time has come. Just debut. First time. My homie, like my mentor, Cloud. Shout out to Cloud.
Shout out Clown.
Yeah, Cloud sent me the information like, yo, Lam, just debut in Singapore now. Is not the years that I won, the years in the, like before that. So I'm like, oh shit, like let's train for this. So we live in both different city. I flew to his city and spent 2 months, 3 months with him, just training.
Yeah.
Straight training, like, and you already know, training Asian level. That shit was wild. I don't. Yeah, is we dance every day, like 4 or 5 hours every day.
That's dedication.
And it's like I still remember when we wake up every day. I stay at his place, so wake up every day. We drill for the Asian for 1 or 2 hours, and then he go to work. I'm home just playing games,
Yeah.
and watching video, learning about the. Yeah, I was a bit nerdy like you too, to learn about.
That was a shot.
Yeah.
Person, I would have taken that.
Oh no.
I'm a little bit of a nerd.
Yeah.
We all are.
And then the first year just debut in Singapore, I make to final, and lost by Semi Blank. Shout out to Semi Blank, my homie
Mm.
and from Indonesia. And then I was a little salty. I'm like, because it's what tie break. What tie break?
Oh, fire!
Yeah, it's what
Yeah.
tie break. And my partner, he did the tie break route.
Mm-hmm.
We lost that, but to be honest, when I lost that battle, I'm very happy. I still remember the moment when the first time we go over and like out of the country for competition, and just debut being something that we want to go. I remember the day, me and my partner, we always we talking about that all the time, from Vietnam fly to Singapore and talk about it. And I still remember when we first time showed up at the venue, we were so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
We walked into the play, we so emotional. We saw Bro Kenzie, we emotional. Everything. Yeah, I was a little emotional, like start tearing out a little bit. um but yeah, that's very is meaning a lot for us. So after we lost that battle, we go home, train even harder. I spent a years just like for training, for that battle. And then the next year we won that battle, just debut. And apparently is my mentor, Nyako, my idol as well. He judging that battle, so when I won that battle, it's also mean a
A
lot.
lot.
Like
Yeah.
it means so much for me to like judging by the person that I look up to. And yeah, and the day after I won the event is what's surreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh shoot, this.
I'll plug the video. I was actually just watching it before I came here. The of you guys winning Singapore, and the crowd is literally erupting whenever they won. Like everybody's hugging them, and it just looks like everybody was culminated in their hard work. It's very touching. I'm gonna plug it
Yeah, I feel like little cringe when I think about that. I think it's very beautiful,
in. Mom had
but
long hair.
I think I just watched so
Oh,
many
yeah.
times.
He had Super Saiyan 3 hair.
Yeah, it was
He touched
long,
it
super
already.
long
Yeah,
ponytail.
super
So
long
long.
tail.
Yeah.
Trying to be my mentor, have that long hair.
And
But
it was braided.
but wait, it wasn't braided. It's a little, but
A little,
What do you mean a little? It's
a
4
little
feet of hair.
Padawan braid.
yeah. That's so funny. Uh, but yeah, that, and then like travel to Paris. Obviously, when it's crazy. It's crazy feeling to be on the stage. Like worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
so many heavy hitter in that room, like thousands of people. But I didn't. I thought I would feel nervous, but I feel like I feel very happy.
Mm.
I feel emotion. I feel like accomplished. Because I
As you should.
Yeah.
yeah, and because just debut it was a dream. If it's a dream for me, it's like and when I did that, it's give me an idea of like, okay, any dream can come true. I just need to put enough work, determined enough to make that happen. So when I was on that stage, wasn't nervous at all,
Yeah.
super happy,
Yeah.
danced my heart off. Yeah, and the good thing that all the people who I look up to, Nyako, Salas, Mitch. Yeah, I think that time 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I met Alice the Cage, session with him, Charmin, all that cat,
I think Shay
Jason.
and Kenzo were in that competition as well that year.
Wow.
I think Baloo and maybe Majid was in that competition that
Yeah,
year. Like there was
yeah,
a
Majid
few
was,
heavy
yeah,
hitters.
was
Yeah.
there. I remember Majid.
What year was it? 2011?
2012.
2012,
2012.
2012. And yeah, it's just crazy to to be to just like session, like hang out with like those cat.
Mm-hmm.
They're mass inspiring, super nice. But yeah, mm, I hope I answered the question. I
No,
feel like I'm just
absolutely.
you know
You mentioned something a little
so
earlier about uh, you described the time like flying to another city, spending 2 to 3 months training, and then the next year training after that. Um, can you speak to the cultural differences between what training or what how people are approaching this art specifically over across the sea in Asia, Europe? Both of you can kind of attest to this. and how you see those differences apply here in America and even Chicago as a city.
Yeah. I would say, like, different parts of the world outside of the U.S., there's a lot of government backing in certain places, not everywhere. And in the U.S., arts is one of the first things to get cut in curriculums if there's less budgets and whatever may be for the year. And so there's a lot of emphasis in growing that part of you, the artistic part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to go overseas, what I saw were people that didn't really have to mm, worry about the things hustling on top of dance like they do here. And but then once you see those same individuals, the people that want more opportunities or what have you, come this way, I think they get to see the top of the iceberg of the U.S. because they get to see the fame, the clout, the this, the that, and the other, the notoriety, and so they come here for that opportunity, or just politics or whatever it may be. And once they get here, they're the hardest working people that because their back is against the wall,
Yes.
right? They don't really have other opportunities. Like, this is what they came here for to do. So those same people are the ones that work 2 3 jobs on top of going to dance and making sure that they're sharpening their tools and everything. So that's what I got to see. It's interesting to see those same individuals overseas not have the worry and just focus on their craft and literally can make a living off of it there. And then those same individuals coming here and not having the same opportunities, but really pushing forth the effort to make sure that any opportunities can come. So
Right.
that's been my experience.
Um, yeah, I think is same thing with I was saying in Asia, because dancer wasn't a career that our parents or any people around us like who highly recommended to pursue it, or you don't see that many like figure for you to like to pursuing. And especially in Asia, we're very conservative mindset. Oh, you have to have a job, you have to be a doctor, you have to be like certain role, play certain role in the social society to be acknowledged or like making money. um, but on the other hand, not everybody very good at academic
Yeah.
like me.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Same.
when I was younger, I'm just telling my dad and mom, I don't think I'm academic person like my sister, which is my sister, amazing person. Shout out to sister, love you. uh
Just sister.
just sister.
No name, just sister.
V Nguyen.
V1.
Yeah, V Nguyen. um she amazing. But
She is.
yeah, I think from my experience, I think I'm growing up, I track to something that a little feel a little rebel, like the dance, like music, something like very artsy. And I didn't have a lot of resource around to to educate myself. What is it? Everything just like internet, YouTube, and the yeah the thrive, the hunger, like I want it. I want to have the resources is really pushed me. And I thought it's just my story, but when I met my dance partner Cloud and like other people, we have the same, like we go on the same path where we very hunger the knowledge, like the culture, everything we just observe from internet or video. And because we don't have so many resources, we have such as limited, so we use the most out, we squeeze the most out what we have,
Yeah.
like just use the most out what we have. And at the time, I still remember, beside of a mop top video, when they teach you old
Yeah.
school, new school, or middle school. And then like we also have the people, they actually flew to
Over.
Southeast Asia,
Right.
overseas, for teaching. And I took class, and like with that's knowledge, we just drill on those back to back. And we use that teaching for the younger generation who just step into the scene. And I think that, but we're doing it, but we don't understand and we don't feel it. yeah, the feel part is, I feel like if you only live in the culture over here, USA, you will understand that. I start understand that when I move here.
Yeah.
But before that, I did it, but I don't feel it.
Mm.
You know, I still can do all crazy shit. I feel with what I understand with the culture back home,
Right.
but
Like
not
not
necessarily.
authentic.
Yeah, not authentic. I can do crazy shit, but
You can't do crazy
yeah,
shit.
I did crazy shit.
Right.
Uh, but I start to understand more about the culture here. You know, even the style or like how people like like authentically expressing it, the style, the dance, the move, and that shit is like raw. Like even when I travel to Europe or like everywhere in Asia, I didn't see that until I moved here. I'm like, wow, this is different.
Yeah.
You know, they may not have like, as clean foundation as like Asian level or like European people they do, but the authenticity, the rawness, the feeling is here.
Yes.
Is definitely here. You can see it anywhere in other part of the overseas, but you only see it here. So yeah, I think like here and there, pro and con. You know, Asia, Europe, good foundation, but the feeling, the authenticity, I would not compare with the USA. But at the same time, in the USA, the way that like Jason say, its approach is very surface, but where there's like very deep down cultural building, like a lot of things like behind the icebergs we haven't explored yet, or like we haven't, really investing into it.
Yeah.
But if we do investing into it on top of what we have in here, with the authenticity, like the rawness of the style is,
The potential is.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But I think it's heading into that path because with social media, we on the platform that we have, on the resources that we have in here, it's gonna happen really soon. I
Yes.
have the feeling like that. Yeah.
I think that what KiSoo noted earlier about the government backing is very significant in that, um, and we talked about this earlier. It's not necessarily everywhere over there, but even a little bit is a lot more than what we have here. In that the government doesn't really support any kind of art here. In fact, they're trying to suppress your want to do the arts. Um, and with that, like knee on your neck, it's really hard to find genuine joy in exploring your passion in any of this stuff. Yeah, you end up getting into fight or flight mode and living off this like survival mindset. And now it's not like I got to work on this art because I want to just feel good in it. It's like I got to work on this art so that that other person doesn't get this opportunity, or I got to work on this art so that I could pay my rent this month. I got to work on this art so my kids can live. Like I got to work on this da 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 da. And and while this dancing here is something birthed from children, as we were kind of talking about earlier, as you get older, the world kind of breaks you down even more. Or this side, this I won't even say the world. Like in the U.S., it kind of breaks you down as you get older. To where now I'm 28. I feel like I had to fight really hard to be able to still have the hold on my passion like I do. Whereas most people that I started dancing with are no longer doing it because of the struggle of trying to make it your main source of income. Um, on top of, we kind of talked about the other on the other side of the water. There, objectively, you could have your different opinion on this, but I think that they are cleanlier in their presentation, meaning that you could take a picture of them, just like you could take a picture of any choreographer's dance or most like team dancing right now, and there could be probably a clean picture at that moment. I think you could do that the same way for European and Asian dancers. Um, and that's a testament to the practice and to the grind that you're talking about earlier. But with hip hop, and we're hip hop dancers, so I'm really going to speak from that perspective. But it's kind of like that in all of the dancers that were born around here. Is that no kid is really waking up and thinking, I got to drill my running man. Like it's like you kind of go outside and you stay in your room, or so your mom's like yelling at you and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm tired of this. Like, I just want to go dance. And you go outside and you just do what you feel like doing. And the practice comes from the frequency of feeling that. So the more struggle you put through, the more practice you're going to put into the passion, but you're not necessarily working on your form. But what you are doing is strengthening your essence. So now that's why all these people, they may not look the cleanest or look the best, but you couldn't tell them anything otherwise because you feel everything that they're going through. And it's just a manifestation of all of the struggle, all of the happiness, tears, pain built up into what they want to present at that moment. So really, it's balance is the key for anything. I think once you realize that this is an expression, but now it is also somewhat of a sport, also somewhat of a discipline, and it's commodified, and the people that are willing to pay for it want the cleanlier look. Now it's time to be like, okay, I've been working on my essence all my life. Let me start trying to work more on my form so that whenever I go out and perform this for people, they actually understand what I'm doing and they'll be more inclined to give me that dollar, or they'll be more inclined, if that's what you're searching for. You don't got to do that. But something, I was in LA recently for freestyle session where KiSoo took hip hop, and shout out KiSoo.
KiSoo.
Shout out KiSoo.
Mhm.
At that
Shit crazy.
time, I was
So
kind of
lit.
having like a down period in my own dance, just kind of wondering where it was going, and seeing her perform with my own eyes, um, she doesn't sacrifice anything for the sake of the moment. It's what I feel like doing. You're going to like it, and it's top tier. And after she won, she was sitting there holding the trophy. Everybody's kind of just like circling around her. There was a moment where she was by herself, and I walked over and I was like, "You are it. What is it?" And basically, she said that you just don't really have to try. It's already within you. Especially people who are black or come from this culture where the culture is born from. You don't have to try to be something that is already that comes from the people that you are. All you have to do is just hone in on it. And that doesn't mean to say that if you're not black that you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more about that. Really, what that means is black people are just oppressed. So they're more inclined to be or want a distraction. Dance is a good distraction, and that's why dance is so. That's why so many dances come from black culture. But everybody's been oppressed. Everybody struggles, and everybody has something to say. It's about tapping into that, and not letting anybody take it away from you, and honing it into an actual craft to be able to make it palatable to your viewers. And it's something that can't be taken away from you because it's yours. Like, nobody can copy it. That person over there has their own. And it's just, if we keep looking at the next person, like, what are they doing over there and what are they doing over there, it's even more time spent away from actually digging into what we have going on. So if we can kind of get on that tip, like, stop looking over your shoulder at if somebody's trying to take your opportunity, just go at your own pace. What's coming to you is coming to you. But
Scoreboard watching.
yes, it's you. But every moment you're looking at something else, you're not in your own brain. So if we just focus and maybe dig a little more, focus is the word for the year, as well as keep our essence intact. We're this side of things is bound to grow in monetary value, essential value, and just overall community, which is already going. As Lam said earlier, there are people out there doing crazy shit in the U.S. right now. So shout out to everybody doing it.
Everybody.
A lot of talking there from me. Don't do that anymore. Let's talk about cultural differences. Speaking a bit more about, actually, let me see. We're gonna scale back to Chicago as a whole. This is kind of where we left off when the other recording stopped, or where the other recording wasn't like. how have you seen the what was the Chicago scene like when you both entered into it, both freestyle and choreo?
Yeah.
And how do you feel like it's changed from then to now? Additionally, do you feel like anything is lacking in the moment in either community? And what do you feel you can provide to the scene to overturn that lack, or you're already providing to overturn that lack?
So I've had the privilege of being welcomed by both communities, choreo and street styles and freestyling and everything. So when I first came in, it was a lot about crew culture with the choreo stuff. Um, Crew culture turned into mega crew culture,
Yes.
and it was all about it. It's first started off with the basic things: how clean you are, your performance factor, all of that stuff. And then it started getting into, and it naturally progressed into complexity of your movement, and then it started going into storytelling, and then storytelling turned into multitude. How many multitude of styles can you throw into your sets, type of thing.
Yes.
And so and there were different influences, like Hip Hop International played a factor into that, because there's requirements to compete. You have to have
Correct.
3+ styles to compete. um, so in Chicago, it was very crew heavy, and there were a lot of OGs and mentors that ran those crews here, and there's prideful moments, right? It was a very healthy, competitive community here. Everyone was supportive, but everyone also respected everybody, as competitive as they were. It was a beautiful thing to see. And then the mega crew thing, or crews, here it started to blend. This person danced for 3 other companies, that person started to dance for this many companies, and then now every crew started to move and look and act the same.
Yes.
Crews had their own essences at the end of the day, but the dancers performing it started to look pretty much all the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of all across the board. And then as far as what I got to see from the freestyle side before Lam got here, it was very heavy. The house and the breaking was super super heavy here, and they had, what was the club, like Funky Buddha. They had all these places and clubs that were really catering towards that type of culture. I never got to go; I was too young, but through the grapevine, I heard all of it.
Right.
And then the choreo side started going from mega crew or crews and shifting to individuality and projects. And people started to branch off and doing their own thing, whether it was personal differences, just wanted to start their own careers, whatever it may be. And then the crew thing started to kind of dissipate, or just kind of fall apart. People started to do their own projects. I still kind of see the same thing, the same people performing the same pieces, over and over again, like Urban Night and all that stuff. And then Chicago had a little bit of a lull with just choreo in general, and then pandemic hit, and then everything just kind of downshot. And then the freestyle scene, I'll let you talk about it. So go ahead.
No, thank you. I'm kidding. uh, yeah, I would say I'm being a proud Chicago scene for 7 years, and fortunately, I was welcomed by the freestyle scene, Chicago scene. Yeah, yeah, they opened their arm and for me, like very first time. Shout out to Vero, Brand One, Tujer for took me, show me around the dance club in Chicago, or like connect me with a Tribe, or Electric Funketeers, So Swift. Um, yeah, it changing in the way that I think very interesting and very cool. I think back then, not back then, but like just few years ago, when I just stepped in Chicago, um, dance wise, the community that very respect the foundation and like all of that, like foundation, um and we have very very solid foundation in terms of like house popping, breaking, all of that. And then like this crew, they still doing their stuff, like to preserve the culture, whether teaching class, educate or like train the new generation and hosting event. And like Chicago used to be a hub for like popping or house. Slick City is like one of the biggest event that people they travel to Chicago for that event. I still remember the first event, Slick City, that I joined. Like there are people from New York, from like different part of Midwest. They pull up. I was amazed by their talents. And then later on, there one part I think like you know the people or like the generation that they hit to the part of their life where they're trying to figure out their life, basically have to find job because again, right, dance is very difficult to sustain their life in here. So they're just shifting that and like it's kind of go a little, like go a little down. But I think at this part is very interesting because the newer generation, they start picking it up, and the way they're approaching is very creativity based, which is amazing, and that part is kind of uh, it's kind of collide with the previous generation where
Hmm.
okay, like you have to respect the foundation, the fundamental, and understand both side where they're coming from, because like without creativity, then you just look the same. But with our foundation, then you don't speak the universal language, or like
That was a bar.
yeah, so I do
Clip that.
Yeah.
so I understand both sides, but I think right now, at this point, we holding down in both sides very well, and both sides very respect each other in the way that the foundational side, they put themselves into like other side, like creativity side, where they explore more. They trying to like do more storytelling, like with emotion, with the vocab that they have. And the other side, they like they appreciate like the fundamental, they start training fundamental and adding those in their creativity. So Chicago scene right now is very interesting, very cool, and critical. He's used to be, yeah, he been through both scene. uh, and he's got one point when he moved to a different state, and now he come back. He told me the same thing. He very surprised to see the newer generation, how they dance is very different than what he danced back then.
Hmm.
Because just even at the timing wise, like it used to be like just uh the boom and snare on the time, but right now they know how to break it down, make it make sense with their
Hmm.
creativity. So yeah, I think now and then, they're up and downs, but the good thing that communities now they are together.
Hmm.
Now they trying to open up more to listen to other people, where they're coming from, trying to understand and like put their they are now put their shoe, right, and put their feet to other people's shoe.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yes.
All right. But yeah, that's my take on that.
We talked about Veto and Brand One, Tujer, Critical. Is there anybody else in the Chicago community right now that you feel like is contributing some pretty good work, or is pushing the community in a way of inclusivity and just helping it out in the overall?
Um, I mean, there's been generations prior to this of the people that have attempted uh, either contributing to the community, combining choreo community with the freestyle community. Shout out Tofu, he's tried it before.
Shout
I
out
was in that.
KiSoo too.
But the person that really sticks out is Lam.
Yes.
The reason why we're all here now is because he would hold these classes and sessions with just the five of us, right? um, Even before that, it was just the three of them,
Hmm.
right? And it was so scarce, but it was one of those things where if you're working two jobs, you don't have the energy for it. Going to the same two people, yeah, they're your friends, but sometimes it gets a little draining. It gets a little old, right? But he stuck it through, And I remember even when we had the first round of classes, there were times where he was just like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep, to keep teaching. I'm busy, like da 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 da." But he stuck it through, and now we're enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Yes.
Right? You have people coming in from every side of dance coming through and joining this Rhythmhood. If you guys want to check it out, and so that's one of the biggest people here constantly doing that. Not only that, bringing in Rhythm Hood, but also bringing that cultural aspect, bringing in battles, bringing in events
Yes.
to Chicago for people to experience. People are still talking about hip hop in Chinatown and
Yes.
what they felt, and so it's just shout out to this man.
It's all love, man.
Yeah.
All this work. Yeah, it just yeah. I think I have received so much love from the communities when I just moved here
Hmm.
because like imagine they just go from different country and know you have no idea about that country just on media, but again, right, you have to live in that, the barrier, everything. But the fact that the community here has opened their arm. Shout out to Frank, my best friend.
Shout out Frank.
Shout out Frank. I still remember the time when I first met him. My English wasn't like good at the time. Is not good either right now, but
It's great.
but Frank was there for me. Like he yeah, I remember I talked to him. He don't understand what I say. He didn't understand what I say. He talked to me. I didn't understand what he said, but we
Mhm.
still dancing through the winter. I just go to his house every Thursday, Friday, just like drink, eat, and dancing. Um, but yeah, so I think all the work that I'm doing right now, or like the past year, I just want to giving back the love that I have received from the community.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy that the community, they vibe with it.
Yes.
They supporting that. But yeah, man, all love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some other people that I want to shout out really quick is also Rhythm Hood member, Rhythm Kids member Tanya,
Tanya
and all of Shadow Puppets. They're the work that they're putting into actually providing quality events and quality content and quality information to the community, not just here, but to the overall popping community, is something that you just aren't really seeing everywhere.
Incredible.
And they do it on a consistent basis. Like
Mhm.
one-time things are good, but somebody that can prove that they can do it again
Over
and
and over
again
and
and
over.
again and make it feel great and inclusive is monstrously great.
Yeah.
Shout out Jinx. She has a podcast out right now about how to make a quality event. Go check that out on
Mm.
Spotify. And as well as another sector of the community, Trey and the Just Speak Co. The
Yeah.
whole house collective over there. They've been holding house sessions every like bi-weekly all last year. They're going to come back pretty soon.
And
People are
Castle.
and
And
Brave
Castle.
Monk,
Yeah.
K Soul, like everybody is giving. There's a lot of actual opportunity being presented right now. I think after COVID, people are actually just ready to get to the grind, like get to what the actual meat of what we're doing is, instead of the um, looking around in circles that we were kind of doing before. And back in Dallas when I was there were people doing that there as well, and I wasn't really in the mindset to be able to take all that information. But even back there, people are on the grind. Like there's events going on all the time. Haley Summers down there is doing great work. T Soup down there is doing great work. Rift Rishi is doing great work. Like I think overall across the nation, and we're literally just getting to what we should have been doing all along. So just shout out to everybody doing the good work.
Actually, hot take. You can clip this. Moving forward, if you're in Chicago, we got to start paying respects to Chicago footwork and house.
100%.
Creation has been consistent for decades now.
Yes.
Footwork Kings prior to that. Charles would pause, especially pause. My brother, my mentor as well. We need to, moving forward, if we're repping Chicago, we need to start not only taking and learning from them, but respecting that side of dance.
Yes.
There's no reason why this shouldn't be as popularize whatever it may be as other styles from other cities. We're here. We're literally in the heart of it. That's my hot take.
Yeah.
And remember, every years people fly, from different part of the world to Chicago for that. But
Yeah.
if you are here, you gotta take that, Otherwise, if you travel to different city, people are gonna ask you from Chicago,
You know footwork.
footwork. I was asked that question.
Same.
Gotta go
I had
learn
to
it.
learn, but yeah.
Mike D is still here on the South Side. A little bit still here. Finn comes back every now and again. Charles comes back all the time. Is holding programs. Like there is options for you to be able to learn.
Pause is doing online.
Pause is doing online. Like there's not really an excuse nowadays for myself and for everybody. So just get into it. Truly,
It's not that scary.
it's just
hard.
fast.
It's not scary.
But juke music and Chicago footwork music is some of the best music on the freaking planet.
Oh,
So
seriously.
like, moving a little bit forward, kind of getting to the end here. I kind of want to talk about some other ventures outside of
Sure.
physical dance. Lam, currently working with Dance Fight. Tell me a little bit about Dance Fight.
Dance fight. I joined dance fight. I think right now. I think my second year. No, yeah, my second year was dance fight, and it was a great journey. I think the reason that make it great because the people who start off this company. Shout out to Ryan, but Ryan's he's has a beautiful heart. He used to have a nonprofit with his partner. Um, yeah, and like what they doing, for the youth, for like the people who like the new kid, just abroad from different part of the world, who just nearly new to the U.S.
Literally every part of
Yeah, every part of the world. They just like brought them together and like just connect them. Like 2 week without phone, but like connect as human being.
Yes.
Just learning, like trying to learn, even though like some of them they don't even speak the language. But when they start music, start playing, they start dancing and connecting, like very authentic, which is amazing. And when the COVID hit, they want to create the same experience but virtually, so they start dance fight. And apparently the dance street dance community, we start picking it up,
Yeah.
and it's become something like that, very very big right now. And when I first joined the company, I told them why I'm here in the street dance community, because I want to create opportunity for everybody to make money out of what they love, and like help their life to be better. It's not just as a dancer, but as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So you know and the whole journey with that direction, with the spirit that I hold, is very matched with what they trying to creating. So it's just been amazing. And right now in the team we have Slim, shout out to Slim,
Shout out to him.
Nitty, Rich, and like a bunch of different dancers. But uh, we all sell in the same direction. We're trying to create more opportunity for the dancer, and like it's a lot of project in the work right now. I think this year gonna be big for like we're going to launch a lot of different partners with different company, but like the whole thing is around how we can support the dancer, how we can help the dancer to make money, to sustain that life, to connect with people from different part of the world right now, because dance fight is worldwide right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and working in the community is so cool to see, because I'm community manager as well.
Yeah.
To see the feedback from people, how dance fight has support their life mentally, or like how they can connect with people from different part of the country, make new friends and all of that. It's just been amazing to see that. uh but yeah, um
Yeah.
dance fight.
You're working with some of like the more prominent brands and companies right now that are giving an opportunity for dancers, specifically street dancers, to thrive. We just mentioned Dance Fight, but just recently, your partnership with Snipes brand to and its integration in hip hop in Chinatown, making it such a monumental event. How do you feel about like literally being almost like a pioneer in the way of branching street dance with um, corporate, or at least like getting like bringing street dance to the forefront?
Yeah. Um, like I just say, same thing with dance fight. Finding the right resources for the community is on way a big thing for me. It's not recent, but I holding that back in Vietnam. When I don't know if I have mentioned about the story of me back then. After just debut, keep traveling here
Mm-hmm.
and there, battle rapping Vietnam. But when I got back to Da Nang, is my city. Da Nang is used to be like a hub of street dance in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it just at one point everybody quit, and when I got back to my hometown, there wasn't many people, and I just questioned where everybody. So I'm just like I just asking people around, and people had the same. Everybody had the same reason that they cannot make a living out of dancing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sad. I mean, at the time I didn't make all my resources wasn't from dancing either, just a little bit, but the most part, I do I was only photography and videography studio back in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
so I make money out of that, and feeding my passion. Um, so I just decide maybe this is my new goal for my dance, for the community, how I can create more opportunity. So I just like find different resources, whether I got opportunity, performance opportunity in on the resource in my city, because my city is what tourist city, so there are a lot of resorts, beautiful resort, and that they need people to performance.
Yes.
So I took on this gig, training people, feeding them to with this kind of gig to make money out of that. um, and then I hold the same, I hold a lot of knowledge around that and keep fighting the resource. And at one point, my city start, every year they give me, like a certain budget to throw event, so I can bring, like more thing for the communities, bring people from outside the city to city for event, teaching, education. And when I moved to here, I think when I get so close with freestyle scene, it's we got the same problem here back home, right?
Yeah.
Like there are not many resources go toward to the dancer. So I'm just like, but it should be something, we should have something that put it into this. It's America, it's a big market here. There's so many big brands that we can pull the resource from, but um, most of the dancer we don't speak the business language, or we don't understand how we can pulling it. But from my experience of that, I feel like yeah, hip hop in Chinatown was an example. I'm just doing my research, and I'm like, oh, I as a fan of street dance culture, watching dance video, I know that's not that big supporter in
Yeah.
Europe. Like you see the logo everywhere at the event, and done my research. I just realized that they just expand their market to the U.S. and just maybe Snipe can be a good partner. I'm just trying to reach them out randomly,
Yeah.
shooting in the dark, and hope for the best. And the good thing that Snipe they're picking it up. I got to meet the team, and that team is amazing, very diverse, understand like the culture part, respect the culture, and very support like the minority, very support like people of color and anything related to culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just it just popped in my mind is a lot of thing around. We have there's so many resources out there, but to find the right resources that genuinely support the community is important, because people, like some brand that just could have come for the trend and they just left,
And left. Yeah.
but brand who rooted it had the background, related to the culture and like supported it because it's a part of their company culture. Is important. Yeah, even the CEO of the Snipes, he's used to be very involved. Now he's still very involved into the street culture in Germany
Hmm.
and be supporter. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that answered the
No,
question,
yes,
but
you're doing good work here, bro.
yeah,
And I was telling you a little earlier that I can't, like, anytime I think about Snipes or I think about you, I'm like, Lam is doing it big, like it, like, and it's not something that I've really seen before. Like I've always wondered. Back when I was doing choreography pretty heavy, I realized that the most lucrative zone for a dancer in that space is to travel and teach and just kind of be on that constant year-long circuit of going all over the place. But to even get to that point, it takes years of honing your craft and making connections. And through that time, you got to kind of like go through the mud and then finally reap the rewards at the
Yeah.
end, which that's great for building passion. It's great for again, community and building connections, but it should not have to be that hard for us to make a livable wage off of something that is as physically demanding as dance is, as culturally potent as dance is, and as entertaining as it is. Like, people are using, like, people watch things because there are dancers in it. There's no reason why there should be someone living in their car and then struggling to find the $15 to go take class, or
Yeah.
struggling to find the entry fee for a battle or some shit like that. Like,
And I want to say it. There's been efforts like Dancers Alliance,
yes,
prior to it, trying to make sure that that type of livable wage was a possible thing, right?
hmm,
Dancers getting paid the appropriate amount or what have you. And there's also, to your point, there's other people like Ladies of Hip Hop in New York. We
yes,
can't
Mhm.
discount them. They've been doing it a year prior to us anyway.
What's the star in LA?
Yeah. So, there are other people that have done it and we want to give credit to them, right?
yes,
But what Talam was saying, not only is it the brand, but that's kind of half the story.
yes,
It's the people that represent the brand, right? And their values and their personality and what they really think is super important, not only just for brand image, but also just to kind of build a community around it that they can
hmm,
help and push forward, right? And we've been so fortunate to meet the right people at every step and at every level, right? Everyone shares the same image. And it's not a brand thing. You can really tell that it's a personal thing. It's a
yes,
it's a personal thing they want to check off for themselves because they believe in it, right?
Mm.
And so we've been very lucky to, from their steps, from, bringing me in from Hip Hop Chinatown to kind of where it is now, seeing and meeting all of these individuals. It's literally just like like a cone. It just keeps getting more amplified the higher it goes and it
yes,
goes. And so we've been very fortunate. But again, we want to give credit to the people that have been doing it in other areas and other parts of the U.S. and world. We're just in a really good opportunity, a really good spot, pushing it forward here for Chicago and the Midwest.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do want to get, like, it would be nice for dancers to be able to make a livable wage and become, you know, get fat pockets off of
Sure.
just dancing. But as of now, a lot of people are finding solace in having a lot of different ventures. A lot of
Sure.
people are doing dance as well as acting, as well as singing, as well
Sure.
as fashion, as well as so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You have your brand Clear Mind.
Mm.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the beginnings of that and where you would like it to go, like, or
Yeah.
where you see it going for yourself?
There's a video that I watched as a kid. Simon Cowell, he did like a cribs edition of his home, and he went into his closet. And you know how they show off these giant closets with all these clothes and shoes. And he had like 60 of the same T-shirts and 60 of the same jeans and all the same shoes. When I was a kid, I found that very intriguing,
Mm,
because he optimized his life so that he doesn't have to think about what he has to wear. He knows he looks good in it, so that when he wakes up for a meeting, leisure, whatever, he can just throw it on. Doesn't have to think about it. And to me, that creating an essential line for yourself made it. It was so appealing to me.
Mhm.
The appeal of it's comfortable, it's versatile, it can go with multiple different things, and you don't have to think about it. Anything that you put on in any combination, it just looks good,
Yes.
right? Um, and I sat on that for a while, and I always loved fashion. I always loved clothes, shoes, all of that stuff. And it wasn't until I was flirting with the idea for a while, and then when my grandmother passed, I wanted to help my parents out with the funeral costs because
Mhm.
they're asinine, which God forbid that anyone has to go through. They know. And I remember, her favorite colors were pink, and I wore pink, but like I never designed anything in pink, And I decided like I'm gonna make a shirt. Whoever wants to support, buy it, and then I'm gonna use that money to give to my parents for the funeral.
Right.
And it was really good feedback from the jump, and I was like, oh, like cool, like this is something here. Um, and I love designing. That's just something that I really really enjoy doing, and I just kept doing it. And I started throwing up mock-ups on Instagram and Facebook. Do people like this? Do people like that? And they were just waiting for the next drop and next drop and next drop. But what I wanted to really kind of focus on and kind of control, I didn't want to just mass produce and burn out for
Mhm.
myself and for other things. I got really, really inspired later on with Jerry Lorenzo with Essentials because it wasn't heavy branding, but it was just neutral pieces that, again, kind of fit what I was trying to go for.
Right.
And then I kind of started simplifying my designs because this one that I'm wearing now is kind of complex. If you flip it upwards, if you bend it, it says success, but if you drop it down, it says clear mind.
Yes.
And I got inspired by Six, who was a dancer here. He has one of those tattoos. I forgot what they're called, but he has it on his arm
Mhm.
where it reads one thing one way and the
Like
other
a
way.
palindrome.
Yeah, yeah. And so the complex things were great, but then also I just realized like I just wanted my closet to look simple, like Simon Cowell. I didn't want to think. I just wanted, if I want a hoodie, I have a hoodie. If I want a jacket, I have a jacket, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And so I would kind of spread out my releases, and I stopped doing just drops, and I started doing customized pieces for people
Mhm.
because what I wanted, that feeling of having something unique was cool to me, but also it was very cool to see them be so happy and like think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yes.
Um, and because my obsession with sneakers, it's like that thing, that rare sneaker that you get, no one else has it, you feel like you're on top of the world.
Mhm.
So long story short, I wanted to continue giving that feeling to people that doesn't know about that culture or whatever it may be. And so what I did for the longest time, and I'm still doing, I've slowed down now, but is I'll drop slots and I throw out a design, and if you have a color combination in mind or whatever it may be, you get it, and then that's yours.
Yeah.
And I can't duplicate it between people, and that comes from the nerd side of like Pokemon cards and
Right.
trading cards and things of that nature. I don't want duplicates of others. I want the piece unique. So, yeah, and that's kind of where it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it pure. I didn't want to taint it with money. It's not my main source of income. It is purely a hobby and an enjoyment, a passion, and I wanted to keep it as that. So
Mhm.
whenever it started getting too much into finance and money and this, I kind of stepped away from it because I have my day job for that. I don't need it for this.
Right.
I wanted to keep it pure, which is also the reason why dance is the way that it is and my fashion is the way that it is. I have my day job for the other stuff to fund these dreams.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate to be able to do it.
A lot of
You make a lot.
And my man is a freshly engaged new homeowner.
Shout out
Like,
to baby.
shout out to baby. Okay, we all got babies around
Big
here. No, we
fan.
don't, but we all, you know what I'm saying. No, it's beautiful. I think that uh, it's really a testament of somebody's character,
Mm,
and you can truly see their intentions when they're not just trying to get all the money
mm,
that they can from everything that they can do. It's just about like because money is great, but it starts to distort
mm, mm.
your vision of your own
Yeah,
passion and your
yeah,
own drive. So it takes a lot of willpower, and discernment to be like, I think this was cool for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm good where this is at. Like if the money comes in, it's cool, but I would rather have my attachment to this and my connection to this rather than the frivolous dollars that it comes from. And I get to see my friends smile, and I get to see my family smile whenever they get that customized piece. Nobody's providing an environment like that. Nobody's providing anything like that unless they've done the work on the inside of themselves to understand that this is actually what makes them happy. So I'm just glad to be surrounded by people that feel that way, because it's a dime a dozen. I promise you. We talk about this literally all the time, where every day is just a constant realization that people are blinded by their need to get through their struggles, which isn't a bad thing, but there is very, very good peace in just sitting back and realizing that you're okay and that you will be getting through things, and you don't have to reach for things, because the faster you reach for it, the faster it's gonna slip away from you. Which is a way that I kind of want to segue. We'll start closing out here in a second, but this free speech podcast is just a bigger piece to the puzzle. And again, it's not about money. I don't make any money from this. I don't plan to yet. Like I don't, and it's not really like in the cards. It's more about, like I said, a piece of the puzzle. Godfrey is my collective. It's my movement. It's my company to facilitate peace within yourself and self-acceptance and understanding that you don't have to step outside of yourself in order to attain anything that you want. Just move how you want, and the things that naturally attract to you are the things for you. And any feeling of conflict or discourse is just the influence of external factors trying to get you to maneuver outside of what you would naturally do. And if anything, I feel like that's a testament to what literally life is. Like, what else is life but going through conflict, adversity, and then coming out on the other side and having a better realization of who you are and what and where you're going. So the reason that we're having guests and the reason why we're having these discussions and the reason it's a long form podcast is to be able to hear people's actual opinions and what they feel, where they come from, so that we can humanize them, as we talked about earlier. And humanizing is the first step to empathizing. Empathy is the next step to understanding, and understanding is all we have. We are only human. We are only here for a finite amount of time, and I don't really want to spend most of it crying. I don't want to spend most of it with my stomach hurting. I want it spent with people that I actually want to be around, and I want to spend it with people who fill my cup up. So more to look out for on this podcast. Like I said, I appreciate my guys here for being down to talk with me and talk a little bit about their lives. If they have anything that they'd like to plug or tease coming up or anything like that for the people.
You see the bell here? Subscribe.
Subscribe. I'm gonna edit that in. Yeah.
Also, January 28th, Saturday, right?
Saturday.
Saturday, January 28th, we will be holding a Snipes grand opening battle. Name is to be announced. And if you're in the Midwest, slide through. Chicago,
trying to get
slide
smoked,
through. And enjoy the new store, grand opening of their new store in Cicero.
Yes.
And win some money. Have fun. Yeah.
Let's go.
Quick shout outs to my homie Walter, Yonko World, not Yonko Steves anymore. Also a designer, full all around multifaceted artist. Get into his work. That is my best friend.
Super creative.
Super creative. You won't regret looking at his page. Shout out to Off the Ground for having us here and letting us be here
Thanks,
to have
Carly.
this discussion. And shout out Rhythm Kids. That's the family. So
yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
With that being said, it's a wrap on Free Speech episode 1.
Yeah.
Peace.